Welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm Dan, your host, aka smAsho. Looking at the sun at 193 angstroms, we see a bunch of filamentary activity in this area. And there's actually a big filament down here too, believe it or not. Large plage rotating out of the Earth-facing zone here. Some fairly undefined coronal holes down here, and lots of other stuff to talk about. Let's get to it. Zero sunspots, by the way, and South Pole current sheet polarity. Let's look at the fields here on HelioViewer after I turn back those views. And there you can see the fields. This is North Pole polarity, and this is South Pole polarity. And the interactions between those is creating a lot of filamentary activity, coronal mass ejections, and an uptick in the solar wind, as well as coronal holes and a bunch of electrons out there. Here's a 304 angstroms view. And there's the fade. I like the fade. Next, looking at the 304 angstroms. Actually, let me just check the health of the stream here. And we look like we are good 2 minutes in. So there's a custom HelioViewer movie of the northern hemisphere of the local yellow dwarf. It's 304 angstroms, an ionized state of helium, UV emissions. And here's the same area in 171 angstroms. A great opportunity to see very lengthy filamentary behavior going on. A great opportunity to take high-res images of that plage over the past about a week. That thing has been in view. Again, not a sunspot. We've seen the 10.7 centimeter radio flux, which is a measurement of the radio emissions of the outer corona. It's a good proxy for sunspot number. That's dropped all the way down to 68 solar flux units. And there's a graph of the most recent about 4 years. And we have finally gotten back above 70 in terms of average monthly values, a place we haven't seen since May of 2019. So, coming off that solar minimum just about in the right timing as you would expect. 10.7 centimeter radio flux has come up. And the KP index currently down to 0, having come off of geomagnetic storm conditions. And we almost saw a B-class flare. You could actually see it in that video, especially with in the 171 angstroms wavelength. Not quite a solar flare, nothing to write home about, even if it would have been a B-class. No big deal there. And I think we've missed a page. All right, there we go. It's the ghost proton flux. That remains flatline, no surprises there. And let's take a look at the real-time solar wind. And we've seen the speed decrease over the past 24 hours. BT-BZ is pretty uneventful right now. Phi angle, 162 degrees. Current solar wind density just under 5 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed reaching back toward background levels. So now it's time for the earthquake warning upticks, folks. Solar wind speed down to 442 kilometers a second. We have seen a lot of protons in the past 4 or 5 days. And we see that the pressure has dropped back down once again here on the Geospace Magnetosphere movie. We'll let that load and play through. I apologize for the delay. Keep in mind we are streaming live. It's twitch.tv/smAshomash. So we've returned to a pretty weak magnetospheric condition. We still do see multiple layers out there, multiple plasmaspheres. You can see there's actually a plasmasphere here, and a plasmasphere here, and one here. And that's got to do with the very, very strong electron flux. We've seen it 30 times above warning levels. So next we'll look at the ground magnetic perturbations. We don't expect to see too much of that. If we do, it'll be purely magnetic, not induction, solar protonic induction. Not to be confused with the Ghostbusters total protonic reversal. Anyway, Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Congratulations on surviving a polar excursion so far. That's 4 hours a day to University of Michigan. Still see some power outages in Texas and Louisiana. Although they're getting things squared away there. There's about 80,000 less power outages than yesterday in Louisiana. That's a good thing. And next, we're just going to look at the induction of the U.S. power grid here real quick to show you that it's ramped down a little bit since yesterday. And we'll be viewing this in the future when we get more serious inductive events. GOES magnetometer remains spiky, although now it's going to smooth out a little bit, I would say. And we crossed into the South Pole current sheet, I would imagine, right about here, as I forecasted yesterday. Excuse me. Oh, gee. All right, don't worry, folks. It's not the COVID. It's not the COVID. By the way, people are going to get the flu this year and think it's the COVID. The flu being much deadlier than the COVID, by the way. And let's look at some more magnetic information here. Here's my latest favorite animation. And this is part of the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Center, or ISWA. And expect to see the South Pole region changing now as we are in the South Pole current sheet. As you can see from the top view ecliptic plane field plot, part of the Gong 2 suite of magnetometers. This data is based on 51 ground-based magnetometers, as well as magnetometers on stereo A and stereo B, which are located here and here. And it's all part of the National Sunspot Observatory. Welcome to the South Pole current sheet. And you can see the North Pole coronal hole now being covered up by the B field, shown in blue. And by the way, if we see a major change in solar activity, we expect to see the Carrington rotation change. Now, today's Smash Lights is a separate video, and I'm going to provide some teasers just to let you know what we covered. We talked about fomenting things like racism and unrest. We talked about smAsho.org. We talked about how we like to stream live to Twitch, as it's such a good platform. And the software integration with OBS is just fantastic. And so that's why we do it on the regs. If you don't follow us there, check it out, twitch.tv/smAshomash. We're also on BitChute, bitchute.com/smAshomash. And there is exclusive content there, like the hydroxychloroquine video. If you enjoy the music, check out soundclick.com/goldencatproductions. There are 15 tracks there. And if you like Temple Strike, one of the ones we use as an intro, that's actually on SoundCloud. It's soundcloud.com/Daniel-Nigro-2. Daniel-Nigro-2 on SoundCloud. It's called Temple Strike, and it's from the 2000 release Vi Chang String Section. GWAR's made a new video. Have you seen it? Well, here's a clip. And we'll keep it within less than 8 seconds here to avoid copyright strikes. That loaded really lousy. All right, I apologize for that. Anyway, new GWAR video, cool place to park. Perhaps check that out if you haven't. And please take a moment to press like and subscribe on YouTube, as the video cannot continue until you press like and subscribe on YouTube. And the notification bell. If you don't press all three, we'll have to sit here constantly and just simply disinfect myself. I mean, is that what you really want to see, folks? You just want to see me just sit here and disinfect myself? I mean, you want me to live this sterile existence where you don't press like and subscribe? What kind of existence would that be? Anyway, I guess I'll reappear. Did you press like and subscribe yet? Seriously. We'd like to get on with the daily space weather. It's pretty pressing information at times. We're waiting on you. Okay, thank you. Yes, we'll be here. Pause the video. We'll be here when you get back. Press like, press subscribe. All right, let's move on. By the way, we have a video about HIPAA. We talked about that. And the shirt. Also on Smash Lights, we talked about the exceptions to HIPAA. What's going on in the forums. We talked about that dude for a while. You know, that dude there? That I think it looks great as a hairdo. What do you think? Should I make a wig? A COVID wig? Anyway, COVID's been getting very shy lately. I'm starting to feel kind of bad for it. See what I mean? It just keeps vanishing, like into thin air. We also talked about sharticles on Nature. The coronavirus section at smashomash.com/forum. Scary and spooky clouds. No, that's not solar wind, folks. It's turbulent gas clouds coming from your face. Oh my God, you're a viral vector. It's so scary. It makes you want to just pull out a UV wand and be like, and then you can move on with your life because it's got a very, very low case mortality rate. Probably even much lower than I originally thought. We also talked about what is going on here. And seriously, what is up with that? And we talked about government tyranny. Let's move on to the cosmology segment. First thing we're going to talk about, now yesterday we talked about Gaminga, the Gaminga pulsar, a pulsar located only 800 and some light years from Earth. 815 light years, the Gaminga pulsar. And it's very interesting in that it has two poloidal fields that stick out, as well as a bow shock and a magnetotail. Very interesting when viewed in a composite X-ray, radio, and visible image. Today we're going to be talking about a gamma-ray blazar. And this particular gamma-ray blazar is a special type. It's quasar B0716 plus 714. Here are the X-ray transients from it if you want to view your favorite objects. X-ray emissions. Head to the Neil Gorell Swift Observatory. For that one, just type in 0716. It'll be the second entry. And it's a BL Lacertae object. And that means that it has a variable, and it turns out proportional radiative output. So this is interesting. And what a blazar is, folks, a blazar is an active galactic nucleus with the poloidal field aimed directly at you on Earth. So what's interesting about this one is that there appears to be some sort of a proportional relationship between the light curve and gamma rays and X-rays and other non-visible portions of light, portions of the electromagnetic spectrum, let's say. And so this is what's called a bluer when brighter chromatic trend. So there's like a pulsing wind coming out of this thing. And it's interesting. It's not really surprising that the poloidal field is doing that. And it is somehow closely related to, undoubtedly, the activity at the core of the galaxy. If you want to read about it, it's on phys.org. Gamma ray blazar S5 space 0716 plus 714. Here's another article talking about what the mechanism is that causes matter to be ejected out of the massive radio sources at the cores of galaxies. So a great day for two separate articles here on phys.org's Astronomy and Space section. And what's going on here is there is a molecular phase and there is an ionized phase in the shells around these accretion disks. Now, I'd prefer to not call it an accretion disk. You could just call it a toroidal region full of gas and dust. And the emission spectra out of the different molecular clouds versus ionized clouds is very different. They react with each other. There is one thing that I'd like to cite here, and it's that they talk about gas pressure. Yes. By the way, in order to have gas pressure, you have to have condensed matter. There has to be something for the pressure to be pressing against. And the condensed matter object is the core of the galaxy. Probably objects pretty similar to Sagittarius A star, and by the way, in space perspective is everything. If you are looking at the object from this perspective, the object is a blazar, quasar, BL Lacertae object. If you're looking at it from any other angle besides right down the poloidal field, it's going to look like maybe like the Andromeda galaxy, M31. In any case, the article features two interesting galaxies. It's about NGC 1068 and NGC 4151. Here's an image of 4151. It's pretty famous in that people think it's the Eye of Sauron. And that's a composite image including, I believe that's infrared. No, it's X-ray and optical and radio. So here it is in visible light. Let's zoom in. And it's quite a scenic galaxy. It's got this brightened region. I don't know if it's considered a Seyfert 2. It might be a Seyfert 2. And I'm not going to look it up. But if you want to read more about NGC 4151, there's quite a lot of info on the internet. By the way, thanks to our subscribers on Subscribestar and on Patreon. Patreon is the true source of funding for the content. Here's your credit crawl. And for all you folks out there who haven't become a patron yet, please consider doing so. We need a raise for Smash staff. She makes 25%, and that's the person who shares most of our content on social media, although I do contribute also. If you see unique posts, exclusive content on various sites, that's probably me. And if you see the videos posted everywhere every day, that's Smash staff. Please get her a raise by becoming a patron. There's 9 tiers over there. So check it out. And once again, thanks to our patrons. This only shows active patrons, folks, so if you've missed a month, you'll go off the list, and then when you pay back up, you'll go back on the list. And this is in order of lifetime contribution. We're not putting different sections for tiers or anything like that. We've put up a new object, a new device here on Amazon. It's smashomash.com/affiliate. affiliate. smashomash.com/affiliate. And you'll find the air fryer. So we have one of these, and there's also a larger one here if you want the 5-quart. That's there as well. And we made some home fries last night. We'll be releasing recipes also, which include the almond flour. Look for that. And again, watch the Smash Light segments. Let's get back to space data. The relativistic electron flux has reached about 30 times warning levels. So we're at the highest levels we've seen here since right around solar minimum. And there you can see those levels reached about nearly 30,000 pulse flux units, and the warning threshold is only 1,000 pulse flux units. So that's a very dense electron environment out there in the Van Allen belts, creating quite a bit of charging hazards entirely in the southern hemisphere. Here's a total electron content forecast, I think. And it is not loading today. Don't be surprised to see massive GPS errors. And they're forecasting a drop in the electron flux. I'm gonna stay out of this forecasting environment entirely. Let's look at one layer of the air column. It's just the ionosphere, and it's looking a little bit anomalous up there, a little discharged on the sun side. See, it's only making it to 8 megahertz there during some parts of the day. Keep in mind, this is now a 24-hour map of the ionosphere. We've started including the entire 24-hour period instead of just 6 hours for your viewing pleasure. Anyway, here's the latest image. That one coming in at 8:15 Universal Time, and you can see highly discharged on the sun side, normal on the night side. Only making it to 8 or maybe 9 megahertz there. Pretty weak ionosphere. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. There's where things will be in a week. And I like to use in-the-sky to see what's going on above my head. You can draw in the ecliptic like I just did. There you go. And if you're up before dawn, you may see Venus. And if you've got a telescope and you're taking images of Venus or Mars or perhaps the moon, drop us a line at the smAsho VoIP line. Have you seen David Blaine's Ascension? It's quite good. Now, we didn't watch the whole video, but he made it to 24,900 feet. And what happened after that? Well, I'm going to have to leave you in suspense. Here's David Blaine floating away on a handful of balloons.
Tell me when to release the next one.
Great video, and he's in the process of dropping some ballast at that moment. Check it out, David Blaine Ascension. It's only got 6.3 million views. And hey, shout out to YouTube. It's a YouTube production. David Blaine approached YouTube and said, "Hey, YouTube, would you mind helping me out with this?" And they said, "Whatever you need, bud. Whatever you need." So cheers. Nice stuff. David Blaine's Ascension. Basically just a stunt. And looking at the last 24 hours of earthquakes, we don't see any major earthquakes. It's a lull. And expect it to not last very long. We're still seeing a drought of 7 and 8 magnitude quakes. Small deep quake strikes Alaska. 4.3 magnitude, 505 kilometer deep quake strikes Fiji. Argentina sees another deep quake at a 4.5 magnitude and just over 100 kilometers depth. So it's a lull in earthquakes, folks. And let me just draw this in. Not that, this. If you're in these regions, please have an earthquake plan. Attempt to be an asset, not a liability, in the event of a horrifying disaster. Even if you don't have a bug-out bag, just knowing which building facades may collapse if you try to evacuate your buildings could save your life. And those are the most likely regions there for that to happen. I don't try to go to specific spots and forecast earthquakes. I just use solar protons. And they've just gone from a lot to not many. And that's recently been actually proven to within 1/100,000th of an iota of a doubt. So anyway, if you're in those regions, please be an asset, not a liability in the event of a disaster. Have some clue what will happen if it strikes you. Let's look at other disasters. Volcanoes. Tucono's on the list. It's producing a 7,000-foot ash plume. Popocatépetl dispersed its volcanic ash in satellite imagery. Please still do not attempt to pole vault the caldera. Shout out to Dollar Vigilante. And John Kotowski. Sangay's exploding. Flight level 20,000. Flight level 200 there, 20,000 feet. Revenador exploding. Flight level 150 there, 15,000 feet. Sabancaya exploding. Flight level 270. 27,000-foot ash plume is nothing to attempt to fly your John Denver-style ultralight aircraft over. Let's look at the West Atlantic for a bit to show you where these tropical storm tracks are. And most of it's going to miss Central America, according to the GFS forecast. And this tropical system here is going to just make a beeline right for Bermuda and just miss Bermuda to the east, according to this GFS model. Keep in mind that's way too far ahead to forecast. Expect that to change. And then you can see here by about Thursday, September 10th, we'll see some 10-plus inch rain totals in Central America. Got some interesting warnings here on the U.S. map. We've got some storm warnings here for northern Lake Superior. Northern for Lake Superior. You see what I'm saying. Also a bunch of floods for the U.S. South. Let's look at pressure zones. We'll let it advance. Actually, let me just check my stream life, and it looks like we're doing good. Again, please leave us a comment if you're viewing live or if you're viewing Memorex. We're going to pause this GFS forecast for pressure cells at 12 noon tomorrow. That's where we expect things to be. Pretty powerful low there over eastern Canada, as well as south of Japan. Let's look at some more meteorology stuff. How about lightningmaps.org? I like to break it out when I hear thunder. Speaking of breaking out, hey Waco, you've got more lightning, a major storm to your east. If you're in Waco, go outside and have a look above that. You may see some unexpected things in the sky. There could be sprites above that storm. That is a heavy lightning storm. Shout out to our European and African viewers. There are your water vapor maps. That's 4 hours of data. Shout out to our Far Eastern viewers. There's your water vapor map. Major counterclockwise rotation on that system south of Japan. Here are the water vapor maps for the Americas. And here's a U.S. Doppler. Those storms are still stagnating there over southern Arkansas and East Texas. Here's what's going on in the cloud layer, and we see some rapid cloud nucleation there. Let's take a look. And let's go to water vapor for that same area. Keep in mind the zoom is different. there's what's going on in that region. You can see this compression being formed as this sandwich. It's turning it into an atmospheric creek. So that'll cause some major pressure gradients. If you're flying in those areas, expect some turbulence, to say the least. Speaking of turbulence, here are the jet streams. Let me just check the life of the stream again one time. All right, we are good to go. There are the jet streams of the eastern world, heavily concentrated in the southern hemisphere. Jet streams of the western world. Check it out, we've got some jet stream blowing the wrong direction and a two-way shift over only a few hundred miles here. Check it out. That jet stream is extremely anomalous over the Caribbean, blowing jet stream level winds from the northeast southwest onto Cuba. Hey, Smash team. I've vanished. Thanks for tuning in. By the way, we've got a shirt with that design on it. Thanks for flying, American Smashways. Please keep your head and arms inside the Smash plane at all times, as we've got a bonus, a features. We're going to show you 94 angstroms. In a 48-hour SDO video, we're going to show you the intensity gram, to show you 0 sunspots, and we're going to show you the colorized magnetogram once it loads. And there's your colorized magnetogram. Again, 0 sunspots as far as I know. I don't see any dark ombre to you. And last but not least, the 48-hour SDO video. Feast your eyes on this. North solar polar coronal hole area still looking pretty well defined. Although again, we are now in the South Pole current sheet. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back, and that covidiously absent from your locality, county, state, region, country, continent, hemisphere, planet, and universe.